Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, esteemed fellow speakers, as well as the audience, august audience over here, and fellow colleagues that I see in the hall. Thank you, Mozam, and congratulations. Before I start, I want to ask, how many of you are students in this room? Don't be shy. Okay, let me ask again. How many of us are students in this room? Okay, some of you got that. We are lifelong students, right? Yes or no? Absolutely. A commitment to learning is something that does not end with the degree that you have at any institution that you go to. And I think that is a fundamental perspective that we must keep in mind when we talk about navigating through the future of work. That is something that we need to harness and be cognizant of, because of the fact that not only are we continuously learning, but we need to develop the ability to be agile in terms of learning that. Another question I would like to ask all of you: can you remember the last skill that you learned? Anyone in the room? Can we have a mic over there? I just want to have one. Toshiba, yes. What is the last skill? Can you remember the last skill that you learned? Coding for web. That's fantastic. I mean, I think a round of applause to her, because she is in touch with what is required right now to stay relevant. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we need to focus on when we talk about navigating for our own future, whether we are working towards that future or it's the other way around, that we have to build the future. In an age, ladies and gentlemen, of continuous disruption, of where there is globalization, but not globalization from a perspective of only economics, but where there is great conflict around us, unfortunately. There is disruption that is taking place, which is not technology only, but it is the environment. I'm sure all of you recognize what is happening around us. The natural calamities seem to have taken an increase over the last decade, with earthquakes and hurricanes, etc. There's a lot of unrest and dissonance which is happening, immigration that is taking place, displaced individuals that is taking place. This is the reality, ladies and gentlemen, that we live in at this point in time. And that affects the way we build the future generation. It affects the way we build a more diversely populated and a social economic framework which has to absorb immigrants that are coming in from all parts of the world, whether it is from the west to the east or east to the west. That is the reality that we live in at this point in time. So then we need to go back to our academic institutions, our classrooms, and ask them, what are we doing to transform the way we are building the structures, the systems, the pedagogy that is driving our academic instruction, in order to harness and really build a culture which is based on really equipping diverse populations that are coming into the classrooms. The other aspect is that how aware are we in terms of the environmental changes that are taking place? How aware is the next generation? And I feel that next generation is far more aware than we are in terms of how their future is going to be taken care of. They're a bit more mindful of the fact that they need to be conscious and tolerant of what is happening around us. The third aspect is digitization. How many of you have a smartphone? Okay, not very many people have a smartphone. Can I ask the question again? How many of you have a smartphone? Thank you. And to a large extent, do you use that for phone calls, or do you use that for networking, or do you use that to go onto social media? A mix of both, right? So you do your business and your personal engagements through your phone. That is the power that you hold in your hand on a daily basis. We mostly, if there are no millennials in this room, other than the millennials, we are digital immigrants. We have learned technology. We have a generation which is already entering into the workforce at this point in time who are digital natives. They grew up, they were born in technology. Therefore, their whole world revolves around that. And then you ask yourself the question again from the academic perspective, as well as the work platform perspective, how transformed is your environment to enable these digital natives in terms of learning, in terms of fostering an engagement which is just beyond just reading from a book. Do you know that over the last 10 years, the percentage increase globally of people reading online as compared to picking up a newspaper or picking up a book has risen from 40% to 65% of the entire population which is on a social media platform. And that continues to increase. Look at the challenges that pose us when we again look at how the future of work is going to pan out and how much of our institutions are asking ourselves the question that the extent of digital literacy that should be inculcated and woven into the medium of instruction and the programs that are being offered to the students that are studying there. And these are students not just at the bachelor level, these are students in this room as well who would like to take a career break and perhaps get another certification or a degree. The fourth element is the fourth industrial revolution. And what does it mean for us? The fourth industrial revolution talks about, anyone? Artificial intelligence, G. Absolutely. Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics. That is a reality, thank you. That is a reality right now. And we need, and if organizations, leading organizations are already transforming, and that's happening. I'm sure it's happening in Pakistan, I'm very clear on that. It is already happening in China, in the US, in Germany, where transactional activities and jobs are already being outsourced or given to robots. The data analytics is being given to artificial intelligence systems, right? What is happening to the jobs? People are becoming redundant, yes? That would be one. But are people becoming redundant or are their skill set becoming redundant? So it comes back to the question of what are we doing in terms of upgrading and enhancing our skill set in order to stay relevant in a world where we don't even know. And you know what the greater challenge is for organizations right now? They have to develop human resources for skills that don't even exist today, to be relevant even 10 to 15 years down the road. That is the challenge. The next point we talk about, and the last one, is collaboration and cooperation. Collaboration and cooperation between the academia, the industry, and you know who? The parents. Because the first educational institution is the home. And what kind of upbringing, value system, ethics, direction, guidance. Kisi ne khoob kaha ke when you have children, you bring them up for today's age of this generation. You don't bring them up as to how you were brought up. And only then are you preparing the next generation for the future. But the feedback mechanism between these three entities has to be very strong if we are to successfully navigate into the future. It is a very challenging time. It is extremely daunting. It's scary because no one has actually gone through that. But it is our responsibility to commit to continuous learning, to commit to being agile of what needs to be done in order to stay relevant, to commit to be open with our communication, and to develop humans which can operate in a digital economy. Just because the world is becoming digitized does not mean that we are going to say the humans are no longer required. And this is a reality in Pakistan as well. Your next generation, जो Professor साहब ने मेरे पहले भी कहा था कि 60% of your population is under the age of 30. They've already entered the workforce, and they're going to continue to, they're going to be, I think around 2 million people are entering the workforce. And only 0.4 million are graduates. Look at the imbalance right there. You have a huge workforce which is not skilled as well. So skilled is not for the educated only. Skill is also for the vocational, the technical training, the people in the rural areas. So there's so much more that we can do if we can collaborate and cooperate together. And if we can raise human beings who stay tolerant, understand the other aspect with empathy, then we've got it made. So they say that it is our job to ensure that we stay human in a digital age. That is our greatest challenge today. Thank you.